Now, Gab, Arsenal and Manchester United can't have all the fun in this transfer window. Chelsea want in on the action. They're supposedly looking for a new striker. It's a search that seems to be leading them in some unlikely directions. What's the very latest?
Yeah, so Chelsea, obviously, they were linked with Andy Carroll. Carroll's injury and maybe the fact that he's Andy Carroll sort of put that one to rest. There's a story tomorrow in one of the papers saying that they're going to go after Peter Crouch, who turns 37 soon. There's talk out of Italy that Roma have received a bid of 50 million for Edin Dzeko, but Roma holding out for more. So it seems to be a pretty scattershot approach, but worth remembering, Chelsea's director of football, Michael Emenalo, left in November, and I think at this stage they're probably kind of paying the price for that.
Seems a little bizarre, guys, doesn't it?
Well, let's be honest, of the three, it's an absolute no-brainer that you go for Edin Dzeko. The other two, I mean, quite frankly, never mind Chelsea, why would you sign Andy Carroll? He never plays, he's never fit. Oh, shock, horror, he's injured. Wow, really? And then I just don't believe the Crouchy one.
No.
So it's a no-brainer.
He's nearly 37. That would be extraordinary.
I mean, it's no wonder that Roma are holding out. They can afford to do so. I think Dzeko, since he's been to Roma, I think he's been fantastic. He's done really, really well there. So it makes sense for Conte to go after him. But Roma are quite right. They can hold out for as much money as possible.
No, you're right. When the competition is Crouch and Carroll, you hold out for more. No question at all.
Gab, would Roma actually let Dzeko go?
I don't think so. I mean, obviously, Roma are they're still the Champions League. They want to finish top four. 50 million would be, if the reports are accurate, I should stress. I haven't been able to confirm this. Wouldn't necessarily be a bad price given Dzeko's age. But by the same token, Roma would need to scramble for a replacement. Chelsea couldn't use him in Europe. And I think generally from Chelsea's perspective, and this is why you're hearing about guys like Crouch and Carroll, I'm not sure they want to get tied into making a big financial commitment to somebody when they're not 100% sure Antonio Conte is going to be back next year.
Why do they need a big target guy? That's obviously what they're going after. Why?
I think because Conte likes one. He just wants somebody who can be the focal point, and then everybody else can join in.
Somebody different. Something different from what they have.
It'll be a backup for Morata as well, just to spell him a little bit.
How do you feel if you're Batshuayi?
It's Premier League predictor time. Paul Mariner is my challenger. It's like work dad versus work daughter. But we're going to pull it off, Maras. Brighton against Chelsea.
Well, after the absolutely dreadful performance by myself last week, I'm going to try and redeem myself.
By both of us.
Well, I think this is a fairly easy one. Chelsea need to get things going. They need to score goals. I go with a Chelsea W.
Well, I thought it was fairly easy for Arsenal as well, but that was not the case.
Absolutely.
I'm going with Chelsea too, but let's get to the Gunners now. Are they going to do better this weekend, Maris, against Crystal Palace?
We chatted last Sunday after the game against Bournemouth.
And you were disgusted.
I was disgusted, and I still am. Unless Koscielny's back, I think that the defence is poor. I think that Palace under Roy have really got something going. I've got a draw, mate.
Ooh, Maris.
Pains me to say it, I've got a draw.
I think a draw could be a good shot, but they're back at the Emirates, Maris, and I'm going to expect Arsene Wenger to pull off something. Lord knows, with all the talent that seems to be leaving Arsenal in the transfer windows, I would hope he would have to make a statement.
Well, so do I.
What goes on
I'm not hopeful, though.
I'm going to go with them. Burnley, Man United.
Burnley under Sean Dyche, just not quite doing it as they were at the beginning of the season. I can't see United failing.
You mean right here?
Sorry, right
there. You work dads. I'm going to go with United as well for obvious reasons. Everton, West Brom. Does this smell like a draw? Because it does to me.
This is a difficult game for me. My mate Stevie Walsh is director of football at Everton, and my other mate John Carver's the assistant manager at Albion. So I'm going for a draw.
Oh, you're sitting on the fence. That means I can't go for a draw. I'm going to go with Everton at Goodison Park. Why not? Leicester, Watford.
Against Watford, sort of a similar story as Burnley. Not quite firing as they were early on the season. Leicester, very impressed with Leicester last week against Chelsea. I'm going with a Leicester City win.
You know what? I'm going to go with the Foxes as well. I do love me some Foxes. I like me some Leicester City. All right, Stoke City, Huddersfield.
Oh, no.
is the one you're tuning in and getting your popcorn for.
This is where the tickets are going to be flying out the touts' hands. Not overexcited about this. Can Paul Lambert get his first win? After seeing Stoke in midweek, I don't think they can. I think that Huddersfield are very, very well organised. I'm going to go with a draw.
No, Paul Mariner, you know the draw was my shout. I'm going for a draw as well. West Ham, Bournemouth.
This is a difficult one. Eddie Howe absolutely buoyed with the result against Arsenal. Then in the cup in midweek they go out, which is a very, very poor result for them. Yeah, he changed the side. West Ham at home under Moisey, I think they've got something. I'm going with the Hammers.
Do you know what? I think I'm going to go with the Hammers as well for this one. Manchester City recently having to eat a big slice of humble pie, but you would expect them to bounce back against Newcastle.
Rafa, if he could, he'll play a back 10 like he did earlier on in the season. He'll park as many shower bangs as he possibly can. For all the youngsters, that means it's the bus. I am going with, who's this? Oh, Manchester City to bounce back.
Well, that's what we did last week against Liverpool and didn't really quite pan out.
Yeah, Liverpool were good though.
Southampton, Tottenham. I mean, even though they're at St. Mary's, you know I'm going for the Spurs.
Absolutely, no doubt whatsoever. Harry will get another hat-trick.
Speaking of Liverpool, will the Reds continue marching on against Swansea?
They most certainly will. Yep, Swansea were absolutely dreadful in the league last week. Liverpool were absolutely sparkling and sensational. The Pool will win.
Gonna go with the Reds as well. So not that much separating us, Maras, like father, like daughter. I suppose you could say that. Well, we'll see exactly who comes out on top after this weekend in the Premier League here at ESPNFC.com. Time for some more transfer rated. This time I've got Paul Mariner with me. First team, Maras, let's start off with this interesting one. Now, these top three are all connected.
Wow.
We're hearing that the Real Madrid could do a massive clean out, get rid of BBC, and then bring in an NHL, which is Neymar, Hazard, Lewandowski. So Neymar to Real Madrid. Do you see that?
This season, I just don't see it this season at all. I mean, for him to go from Barca to PSG to Real Madrid, he's gonna have to be a very brave boy to take that on. I'm gonna say a miss.
This is a miss on this one. All right. Well, these two, Bale and Benzema. Benzema seems to have become public enemy #1 at Real Madrid. We've seen how the crowd has turned on him. So, would it be a hit or a miss for him to leave?
Well, look, I've always been a defender of Benzema because I think he helped the team with being that focal point. I'm going to say this is a hit for him, and I think maybe Real Madrid do need to change the deck a bit.
What about Gareth Bale?
Look, I think Gareth Bale, if Gareth can stay fit, I think he's a difference maker in any football team. I think there's teams all over Europe will take him absolutely hands down. Can Real Madrid keep him and build around him? Possible, but again, it depends upon the player. If the player is unhappy, it seems as though he's not. It seems as though he really likes Madrid. I'm going to say this is a miss.
Bellerin, someone that's hitting close to home for you, Maras, at Arsenal. I know you have mixed feelings about him. To Juventus, though, would that be a hit or miss for all parties?
To be honest, it makes sense for Juventus. Lichtsteiner, 34, coming towards the end of his career, even though he's got incredible fitness powers. Dani Alves already gone to PSG, so they do need somebody in that spot. He can fill that role. He's got a great engine, gets up and down for fun. Can Arsenal afford to sell or let another top player go? I don't think they can. It'll be sad to me if he goes. Again, for his career, it'll be great, but I'm going to say a miss.
Daniel Sturridge, there's been a lot of talk about him lately for loan deals, whether to Sevilla, but he's also been linked with Inter Milan in the Serie A. Would you think that move would suit him?
Daniel, get a change, get yourself fit, go and play some football, score goals, get yourself in the World Cup squad with England. Bye-bye.
Hits. We do need to see him play some more football, of course, because I know you're a massive fan. Thanks so much to Paul Mariner. Continue tracking all of these rumors right here at ESPNFC.com. Paul Mariner and I have been doing our reading on ESPNFC.com, and Maris, you would have seen the article that says Jose Mourinho's success or failure as a manager depends on what's going on with him at Manchester United. Now, if we have a look at all of the stuff Jose Mourinho has won, I mean, he's won 24 major trophies as a manager, from Portugal to England to Italy to Spain, Maris. So do you think people will just forget about all of this
No.
if he doesn't raise Man United back to the glory days?
Look, he's had some massive jobs in world football, Real Madrid and Manchester United. As far as the English press and to a certain degree the world press, as far as the Manchester United's appeal, it is global. There's no two ways about it. And every single thing that he does, every decision that he makes, you know, whatever it is in training or on game day, he's under the microscope. You know, you can talk about the type of football that he plays. At Inter, he was sort of parking the bus. He's done that now and again when United have played certain games. But he gets results, and that's what fans want. That's what board of directors and chairman they want. Now then, he will be judged on what he does in England. I mean, it's just a fact. I mean, when you're the gaffer...
But judged a bit more harshly, I feel, at Man United. What is it about Man United that everyone seems to be judging him so much?
Because of the global appeal. Manchester United, he's followed a couple of well, you had Sir Alex Ferguson. Sir Alex Ferguson had the best teams, hands down.
Yeah.
The type of football that they played. Even if you were the staunchest of Man United haters, you loved the way that they played.
Yourself included.
Absolutely, myself included, because he put great teams together and played fantastic football. Now, fans would like to see that week in, week out, but we know that as teams evolve and progress, you know, you've not quite got that type of play, so you've got to play...
Is this the biggest club you think he's managed?
Well,
in terms of the appeal around the world?
I mean, it's hard to go against Real Madrid, but as an Englishman, you know, everything points to Manchester United. It just says, and that's purely and simple, I think, because of what Fergie did to the brand. I mean, they became a global brand when Sky took over, and Fergie turned them into this mega football club, you know, with Beckham, with Ronaldo, with these fantastic names of world football, Eric Cantona, you know, rejigging the team. There is a lot for him to live up to, and I think at the moment he is in a bit of a transition. You can see he's dipping his toe in the transfer market in January, so he's not particularly happy with the squad. So yes, he's going to get judged, and because of this global appeal of Manchester United, he's had a fantastic career as a manager. But whether this is going to be the defining moment of Jose Mourinho's career, I don't think so. But it just comes with the territory.
All right, thanks so much to Paul Mariner then. So Jose Mourinho, I don't think we'll forget his legacy and what he's done if he fails at Man United, but it will be quite the badge of honor to have on his resume if he does bring them back to the top. Paul Mariner is joining me as we continue to try and crack the curious case of Daniel Sturridge. Maras, now it seems that he's nearing an exit from Liverpool, or at least on loan, we're seeing. But if we have a look at his last couple of seasons, or his last 5 seasons at Liverpool, you'll see he started with such a bang in 2013, 2014. 24 goals that season. Then he only reached into double figures in terms of goals again in 2015, 2016. Now we know that these are not the best reflection of him as a footballer, because he has been hampered by some serious injuries. But what left does he have in the tank?
Well, only the physios and himself knows, because I think it's between his ears. I mean, there are some games that he's pulled out of that are eyebrow raisers, to be perfectly honest.
Yeah.
I mean, when you look at the 13-14 season with Suarez, you thought, I mean, incredible football, incredible goals. The partnership was just superb. Now, unfortunately for him, he was... Liverpool must have thought that he was the guy that was going to fill that massive void when Suarez went. It wasn't the case. Now, whether it's too much for him mentally and physically, only he knows. And like I say, only the physios know. But look at this record. It's not very good. I mean, he doesn't... What does he play? 50% of the games, maybe less. His goal scoring is down. Does he have the ability? Of course he does. He's got incredible ability. But when you're playing in such circumstances, playing for England or Liverpool or these high-profile football teams, you've got to have the full package. You've got to have the mental strength.
Yep.
You've got to have the physical strength. And it seems as though there's something lacking with Daniel. And it's sad, because as an Englishman, I thought, you know, Harry Kane's our lead guy at 9, but it would be great if Sturridge was firing all cylinders. But that doesn't look as though it's going to happen. Most certainly at Liverpool.
Well, you mentioned England. Of course, we are in a World Cup here, so we have to touch on that. We know he's going to want to get a lot of club football in as we near Russia 20. He has to. So a lot of teams seem to be willing to take that gamble besides his injuries. Right. We're hearing Inter Milan could take him on loan, but we're also hearing Sevilla has made an inquiry, not an official offer yet. So where would he be better suited? I know you already think he'd be better leaving England for a bit, different change of scenery. So Serie A or La Liga?
Well, the damning stat there is that Klopp doesn't fancy him at all. I mean, he's miles away from this Liverpool team. That's damning. If I'm Daniel Sturridge and I believe in my own ability, I go to anywhere that I want to go because I've got to prove myself. I've got to prove myself to myself. I've got to prove myself to all the fans. And if I go to Inter or Seville, that's what I've got to do. Now, whether he's got the capability, I don't know. But I firmly believe he's got to get out of England. He's got to get out of his comfort zone.
All right, thanks so much to Paul Mariner. So Serie A or La Liga, the choice is up to Daniel Sturridge. We'll see which one he does choose if indeed they make the offers.
Well, it's a post-Real Madrid Copa del Rey edition of ESPN Extra Time after they demolished
magnificent performance.
Leganes, by the way, who were known as Los Pepineros, the cucumber growers.
Lots. I tell you what, they've lost a few and all.
There's your research, right?
I was wanting to know what cucumber growers was in Spanish.
It says right here.
I've been trying to see that forever.
They're absolutely thrilled with that.
Cucumber grower.
Now, what's that planting someone a goal then?
It brings us very nicely to the first question. Do Real Madrid need to splash money in the summer transfer window, like some people are suggesting? Eden Hazard, Robert Lewandowski says TMS as potential targets. Do they need to?
Yeah!
Yeah, why not? Why not?
What, 19 points behind Barcelona? How far are they behind Barcelona?
Things are not quite going.
Yeah.
How about the January transfer window?
Well, initially, I thought that was the question, whether it's January or not. But
he says the summer one.
It's pretty simple, TMS. Summer, absolutely.
Might they have some Cristiano Ronaldo tinged cash to splash in the summer?
I'm sure. I'm sure they would love it. But no, listen, if he performs, particularly in La Liga, the way he has been all season, nobody's going to want a guy who's not scoring goals and taking the chances that he's had.
People be queuing up. People be queuing up for Ronaldo.
Mental money a week.
Who? Well, maybe not.
Well, if it's people will ask. He might want to go there. Okay. He might want to go. I'm just saying. People be queuing up.
Queuing up.
So they will.
Queuing up.
By the way, I'm only wanting $1 million a week. Tax free. Yeah, they'll be queuing up all right.
Is that going to drop?
Yeah.
Gab Marcotti is with us. Gab, you sense a busy summer for the Merengues?
I think a lot's going to depend on what happens in the Champions League. Obviously, if they win the Champions League, then things are going to be viewed differently. But I think there's no question that this squad needs to be retooled. I think they need to do it in such a way where a guy like Marco Asensio can be a full-time starter. I think they'll definitely try to shift either Bale or Cristiano Ronaldo. I think they're going to look to get a centre forward in. Because with Benzema, it's not just the fact that half the people don't seem to like him and he doesn't score much. It's also the fact that he gets hurt a lot and misses games. In midfield, also, I think that they might even be ready to make a painful decision on Modric. The goalkeeper is a situation too. But it's a lot easier to go and clean house like that when you're coming off a failure. It'll be interesting to see if they do finish strong. And they got a tough draw in the Champions League, but not an impossible one. And you wouldn't necessarily bet against them. If that happens, it'll be interesting to see whether they'll just keep the gang together once more for old time's sake.
One more go around. Talking
that's our approach.
Talking of titles and potential for winning titles, Jazib, you'll like this question, Steve. Are Liverpool showing signs of being title contenders next season? Oh, perhaps. We're already looking ahead to 18-19.
Yeah, I don't think that's beyond the realms of possibility.
What would need to happen?
Well, it's we heard
that, Gab.
Somebody needs to dig a big hole in Manchester for starters.
Well, the first thing you need is get Shaq in goal. That would make a huge difference. Yeah, listen, Look, if you can outplay Manchester City, then you've got a team. So yeah, it's not beyond the realms of possibility. Clearly, they have to make some signings on the defensive side of the game. And if they do that, then absolutely they could become contenders.
Gentlemen, yeah, agree.
What are you laughing at? You seen your team Arsenal recently?
Hey? We're talking about Liverpool Football Club, Stephen. We're not talking about the Arsenal.
Hold on a second.
Why are you so angry? Why are you so angry?
I'm not.
You are a very angry man today.
I'm not angry at all.
I think you need the right back sorting out. Look, the kid might come through, it might be okay. You need somebody alongside Van Dijk. Robertson had a good game against Man City. Can he keep it going for 40-odd games, whatever? I'm not too sure. And as you said, Xhaka needs to get his gloves back on.
So you agree with me then?
If they sort all that stuff out at the back, aye, absolutely.
There you go.
Gab, 1990. They have to win another title eventually, don't they? Don't they?
Yeah, I mean, unfortunately, this team's coming together just as Manchester City are really, really good, and Manchester United have some really, really good players and have the funds to add other ones. There's still, I think, a really big gap there. And, we just heard from Mares there, right? You'd expect an upgrade at goalkeeper. You'd expect probably another central defender, probably another midfielder if Emre Can goes. There's still a lot of work to do. And the other thing is people are talking about, what are you going to do with the Coutinho money? Well, they've already spent 75 of it on Van Dijk and another 60 odd on Naby Keita. So it's not like they've got hundreds and hundreds to spend in the summer, and they have several positions to strengthen. I love what they're doing, but other teams are just so well resourced right now. I think it's going to be really, really tough.
The most important question we say for last, Gab, how's your knee? We're very concerned about
Thank you.
How would they do it?
I'm happy to report.
What'd you do, Gab?
It's just a knock.
Oh, a knock.
You'll be back in 2 to 4 weeks?
2 to 4 weeks, yes. Unfortunately,
So you're saying it's a knock?
I
How
slept
did you get
on
it?
What did you do? What did you do?
Yeah.
Tell us.
I was chasing a child around the kitchen. That's how I got it. And I slipped on an unmoored piece of carpeting, and I slid across the door. I banged my knee. I ended up banging against a dishwasher as well.
Wolf.
It was
Dishwasher?
It was painful, but
You need a better story.
I'll tell you what.
You need a better story.
Tell me you've got it on tape.
No, please. Tell me you haven't.
Please, you've got it on tape.
Tell me you haven't. Work on your story, Gab. A lion was chasing
sadly,
you.
no.
A lion was chasing you. Something. Tell me something. I slipped on some carpet. And smashed into the dishwasher.
Not any carpet, unmoored.
Unmoored. Well, that'll teach you.
Unmoored.
You need to moor your carpets, Gabriele.
In Scotland, that means
No, look, we have hardwood floors. Shaka, you know what I'm talking about. You can stick those little bits underneath which stop your carpet from sliding around.
Is it a sit-on moor?
That have not been done.
I missed carpet class.
Gab, is it one of those sit-on
When I was in
moors?
school, I skipped carpet class.
You stick a beer on it as well, and then you go across the carpet, and then you have a swig of beer while you're mowing the carpet.
Yeah, I would have told a totally
What are
different
you
story.
Way too elaborate for me.
That's been my entire day. What are you talking about? What are you talking about, Stephen?
He said the carpet was unmown.
Unmowed, yeah? Is that what you're saying?
Unmoored, you dumb.
Ah, see.
So wait, hold on a minute. You've got a sit-down mower for your carpet?
Actually, I come up with any excuse to have a beer. I'll be like, hey, Mrs. Eleanor, I'll mow the carpet. All right, on you go, right? Get us a beer.
More gardening tips. More gardening tips. More carpet fixing ideas on tomorrow's show. We'll still be at it until then.
Look, control.
Oh, dear.
Dan will be back trying to control this rabble Friday. Craig will be back too, 6 o'clock.
I'm away.
Big preview. Shaka will not be back of the weekend action. Catch it on ESPN News. Big news, though, in Madrid surrounds Cristiano Ronaldo. Of course, he wasn't in action. None of the BBC were. Zinedine Zidane on the cover of AS saying, I can't imagine Real Madrid without him. Well, maybe their fans can, because they did a big poll of Real Madrid fans. 125,000 of them were asked about Ronaldo, and nearly 2/3 said they want to see Cristiano Ronaldo leave the Estadio Bernabeu. Quite astonishing. Gab Marcotti is with us. Gab, what do you make of those poll results, and will it have any impact on what happens next for Ronaldo?
I mean, look, these aren't scientific polls and whatnot, but I still think that, they have some value. I think it shows that the opinion has shifted, the mood has shifted a little bit. The last time around there was talk of Cristiano leaving. We know how it ended. It ended with a new contract. I think this time around it's a little bit different. Real Madrid are legitimately hamstrung. There's only so much that they can do, not because they lack money, but because they have a manager who believes in playing as veterans. They don't have that many alternatives off the bench, and these guys are locked into big contracts. And I think the thinking is, let's dangle this a little bit. I don't think Cristiano Ronaldo's averse to being dangled either, incidentally, and let's see what happens. Personally, I look at his wages, and I simply don't see any club that Ronaldo might want to go to being prepared to go and make that sort of financial commitment.
Ronaldo likes to be wanted. He likes to be loved.
We all do.
Well, he's not going to last long there,
He's only human, but him particularly. Is this going to have... I mean, can you see him staying at a club where the fans don't want him?
I think the winds will shift yet again. I mean... 12 months ago they were whistling him, and then all of a sudden he went on this run in the Champions League, and you get to see the true value of Cristiano Ronaldo. Now, as well as that may be, I just feel that Ronaldo has become synonymous with Real Madrid over the years. And whether he's putting in those performances or not, I think just in terms of his personality, in terms of his marketability, in terms of his brand, it goes hand in hand with Real Madrid. And I know Manchester United will, and their fans will feel otherwise, but it makes sense for him to stay. It doesn't make sense for him to get another contract on top of this, but it makes sense for him, for me, to stay.
He's got a contract till 2021, but he's very nearly 33, Stevie. Is it time?
Yeah.
Sense the wind changing direction?
Yeah. Listen, I get what Shaq is saying, but at the end of the day, clubs that have a player who is synonymous with them, clubs have had that for years and years and years, and guess what? When they move on, it's like, well, it's time to move on. And it's time this guy moved on. I don't see him being able to produce what he did this time last year in order to win the Ballon d'Or and win the Champions League for Real Madrid. And so a guy with the personality that he has, if he's not playing, he will be an absolute nightmare around the club. And the way he's playing, he's lucky that they don't have anybody else. Either Bale's not fit, or there's nobody else that can step in and fight for a position. So at the moment, they're stuck with him. Do they need to get rid of him? I think they do, but as Gab said, who's going to pay his wages?
Stevie, I think to a certain degree, when you hear the quotes that have been attributed to Cristiano saying that he thinks somebody should come in and I want to move to United, I want to do this, I want to do that. It is disruptive. Yes, he has been a fantastic player. I do think he's on the downside. But no matter who you are in that dressing room, you still got to have the togetherness to be successful. And I just don't think that they're together. I think you can see that with the way that they're playing. And I think he's spilling over to everybody.
Gab, you mentioned the dangling from Real Madrid. Where is the interest? Is it genuinely Manchester United and PSG only?
I don't even know that there is genuine interest, certainly from Manchester United. I mean, obviously they'll be willing to talk, but if they're about to invest, a lot of money in Alexis Sanchez, they have invested a ton of money in Lukaku. Paul Pogba's there. It's not so much that they can't afford it, but it's a question of going and balancing the egos, balancing the playing time. The other thing about Cristiano, though, that said, with all the negativity, and he hasn't played well, he's Real Madrid's top scorer this season. He has 16 goals, twice as many as the next highest top goal scorer. So I think there's also a bit of a risk of turning into some kind of scapegoat for all of Real Madrid's ills. You know, it's not a bad return at this stage of the season, and I think there's also a school of thought that says if Cristiano can readjust to playing his game a little bit differently, maybe a little bit centrally, you know, the skills he has, he's big, he's strong, he's still a tremendous finisher, although he takes a lot of bad shots, and he's devastating in the air. You know, you can have yourself somebody that can probably extend his career, maybe not to 36 at this level, but probably not far off it.
Neymar is no shortage of playing time or goals for Neymar, but this was him yesterday, and the reaction to the crowd taking this penalty. So Cavani, having won the penalty, could have broken the club record belonging to Zlatan Ibrahimovic for all-time goals for the Beach. He hands the ball off to Neymar, and you could hear the boos and the whistles. His fourth goal of the night, completing an 8-0 win. Stevie, what do you make of it?
I think the crowd tells you exactly what they think and who should be on the spot kicks. I mean, at the very least, we can tell that Emery has sorted this out and Neymar's taking the penalties.
Sure, yes.
But it's never going to be the same again. You know, his lack of leadership with the first time round with the penalty situation has caused this problem.
But this was a little different, wasn't it? This was the crowd's reaction. Cavani clearly handed the ball to Neymar and said, no, it's you. But the crowd wanted something different.
I think, look, I mean, these guys have got massive egos. They'd already got his hat-trick, Neymar. I think he can hear what's going on with the crowd, and nobody can tell me that he can't. If he was to hand that ball to Cavani and say, there you are, mate, put it in the back of the net, get the record, that's a fantastic story for Neymar. But,
doesn't have the brains to do that.
Gab, anything more to this behind the scenes? What's going on behind the scenes with Neymar in Paris?
I think we're reading a little bit too much into this. Look, there is a portion of the Paris Saint-Germain support, mostly a portion of the ultras who are very grateful for the investment, but they're very clear on the fact that, you know what, we were the guys who've been here since the club was founded in 1970 or right around there. We're the people who were here all along. We're going to be here when Neymar and Cavani have left, and we don't necessarily appreciate some of the direction that the club is going in with the hype and whatnot. And Cavani didn't complain all those years that he was stranded out on the left flank, scored a lot of goals, you know, while he watched Ibrahimovic score even more goals. And this was his chance to break the record. They wanted to see it at home. And now simply because Neymar decides that, you know, he wants to score 4 goals, they made their voices heard. But I don't think it necessarily means that Neymar is going to be upset over this or whatever. I think, as was said there, he missed a great opportunity to go and win more goodwill. All he had to do was go and hand the ball and point to Cavani and say, no, guys, this is the man.